Hi, guys, and welcome to another show of Keep Hope Alive podcast. Today we have Freddy Cruz with us, and he's a great podcaster, but he does many things. He's from the Houston, Texas area, so win-win for Texas. Welcome, Freddy.
Why, hello there,
So,
Nadine. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show.
oh, well, you're welcome very much. So, Freddy, do you go to weddings much?
It's been a hot minute since I've been to a wedding. In fact, trying to think, the last one I went to may have been in 2017. My friend EJ, who I found out after working with him for close to 10 years, found out that he's not only a distant relative, but a distant relative of somebody who in my family who I'm actually rather close with, who I grew up with. So it's not like, oh yeah, you're my third cousin's fiance's boyfriend's cousin's lawyer's wife twice removed. It wasn't one of those things. So it was
Okay.
interesting. And so yeah, it was his wedding um, in my previous radio career, and EJ's nickname was Mumbles because
Mumbles.
that's kind
EJ
of how he
Mumbles.
talked. Yeah. It's like, hey Nadine, hey. That was actually what he sounded like, and he still sounds like that to this day.
Oh,
Yeah,
poor EJ. You got this. Let's give him a mic and prove you wrong.
yeah. Well,
So
no, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He and Caroline actually met when they were both interning, and you know the whole thing about uh, dating at work. But this one actually worked out quite well.
good. That's
They're a
good.
great couple, nice people, very nice people.
Good. I hear great stories about it, but then I lost my first marriage because he found somebody at work. Anyways,
Mm.
long story. So the whole dating at work, it's either a good thing or a bad thing, or who knows.
Yeah, or maybe you know what, Nadine? Maybe it's just a thing, and we ascribe or project our own sort of experience onto what it is. So let's say I hear a lot of, oh well, you should meet somebody who you go to college, the same college with, right? Well, what if your experience, Nadine, was, well, yeah, my husband, we met in college and he left me for someone in one of his classes, and so then meeting people in college is the thing. So it's I'm one of those, things are neither good nor bad, they just kind of are. And for the most part, there are of course the outliers either way, but
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
it's true.
I wouldn't date where I work. That's just like, mm.
Well, I work by myself, so I can date me. So,
Yeah,
so I mean, sometimes that's a good line when you don't want to go on a date with somebody. I'm taken by who? Myself. I'm dating myself, and we're having a good time.
yeah.
So that's just my line and how I see things sometimes. But it's hard dating in the 40s, so it's a whole different ball game.
Mm. Well, I would have never guessed that it's hard dating in your 40s because you don't even look like you're 40. So,
Uh,
you
okay,
know,
yeah, I look like I'm 45. Okay, gotcha.
I'm 48 and I feel like I'm 28.
You
I
know,
might not
that's the
look
funny
it, but
thing.
I definitely feel it.
I feel the 10 years difference. Maybe it wasn't because in my childhood or teenage or whatever, when people were going to bars, I didn't do that. I just got married right away because I thought in my life I had to get married and have kids and have the house and the job. And then, I told you I got divorced. Then I went to karaoke. The end. It was fun. I found my passion. I love to sing. So, but definitely it's different. But usually when you go to weddings, before you go into the ceremony, what do you usually sign?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. That was such a long time ago, and I was actually sober that night too because I drove.
Well, you
Trying to
wouldn't
remember
sign it if it was your wedding.
what. Okay, so what you're asking? What did I sign?
No, what do people sign when they're coming into a wedding?
Oh, what do they sign? They sign a guest book, right?
Yes, they do.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So lifeonrecord.com is my sponsor here at Keep Hope Alive. And what they've created is a vintage rotary phone to take the place of a guest book. So your guests pick up the phone, they can leave a message. So they could be like, they can do it for 1 minute, 5 minutes. I don't recommend the 15 minutes, but you can. And you say, oh, congratulations, or hey, dude, it's about time, or are you kidding me? Guys are such a cute couple. Whatever the message may be, they can do that right away. And also, they put a QR code right next to it. So you can take out your cell phone, scan it, and do it later on also. So once all these fun messages come through, they'll burn it on a 12-inch vinyl record, or they will put it on this cute little boom box, which is really cool because you're going back and hearing everybody's voices, And I always say, they get the phone number for a year,
Huh.
but like a couple of months before their 1 year anniversary, call that number again and say happy anniversary and get more messages. So, you made it this far. Yay. You have something to say about that, don't you?
I just think that is so cool, but it's also everything that is everything that's old is now new again, and you're talking double vintage, so it's not just a rotary phone, but it's also burning it onto onto vinyl or a
Records.
boom box, which is hilarious.
Yes, I
But
love it.
I want to know, Nadine, so it's an actual rotary phone at the reception that they
It's a
pick.
vintage one. I wish I had the picture of it, but you remember those like box ones with it's really classic looking. I'll have to put it on my Facebook page. I don't have a picture. I want a phone
I
here. I'm trying
think
to
I
get
know
the
what you're
phone.
talking about. Yeah, I think I know what
Okay,
you're talking about.
so
My grandma had one of those. Yeah.
like here, do. But yeah, but the cool thing, they made it affordable. It's $99 for the plan, and you get it for a year. So
Mm,
boom. That's a great deal. So,
yeah,
anyways, you can check them out on www.lifeonrecord.com and you can see a picture of the phone. Or should we just pull
that
up
is
phones
cool.
now and pull up the picture?
Do
He's
you
gonna look it up
remember
right now.
do you remember
Huh?
calling on the rotary phone, calling to find out what time it is when you were a kid?
I
Did you ever
remember
do that?
411, but I think I was born in 78, dude.
Me
So
75. So I remember going to grandma and grandpa's house, and I thought it was the coolest thing that I could find out what time. I mean, of course, there are clocks and all over the place, and I had a
yeah,
watch, but I just thought it was cool to be able to call this number. I think it was 844-7171. Before Houston got so big that you needed multiple area
oh my
codes. That's how
gosh, I
old
think
I
I
am.
remember that.
Yeah, but you would call, and then it was just some guy. The time is now 9:45, and the weather is blah blah blah. And as a 9-year-old, that was really cool because you knew you weren't supposed to call 911, so you can
Oh
call.
yeah, no, you can't do that.
Yeah,
Or the operator, call
yeah.
directory or whatever, looking up our thing. My friend that I grew up with, we always had sleepovers, but we would prank call. I feel bad about it. I'm laughing here. We would call people and say Domino's or whatever, and then we always tried to get on the radio stations. My first phone, it was a Swatch watch phone.
Oh,
Or no, it
okay.
was a robotic one. Sorry. My other friend had the Swatch watch, but I had the robot looking one where you could see all the pieces that make up the phone. But
Okay.
that was so 80s. It was like really cool vintage 80s stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, Life on Record has us talking about phones and stuff, but but anyways, yeah, so well, enough about weddings and events. Let's talk about you. Who are you?
You know, you mentioned calling into radio stations, trying to get on the air when you were a kid. I was
Hmm.
also obsessed with being on the radio, and I was so obsessed with it that I got into radio and spent 26 years in it, and eventually left and fired the corporate media overlords while it was still fun. And I've been doing my own thing ever since. And I'm running a
Uh,
podcast agency. I have a show myself. When I'm, you know, when the muse, when the, and this is sort of antithetical to a lot of creatives out there who write books, but whenever the muse comes to me, I write. Um, it comes in spurts. I've written 3 fiction novels between 2018 and 2022. Yeah, 2022. Yeah, 2018, 2022. I've started and stopped and started and stopped, and
so they're not on Amazon yet?
I've got that's a long story. Um,
Okay.
yeah, well, they're all three independently published. The the publishing house for the second book went under, and so that book is no longer available for sale unless you find it used on Amazon. And then the third publisher dropped the book because they wanted to go in a different direction. The guy who owns the publishing house is a sci-fi author, and so I imagine that's sort of where he wanted to go. And my book, Allow Me to Ruin Your Christmas, is more of a psychological thriller set in the holiday season. So there you go.
Why am I picturing the movie Elf, that dad who was taking pages out, the books and stuff, and he was like a bah humbug. And Elf, you've
Mm,
seen Elf, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. Elf was a
Got a
fun
lot
book.
of work to do. I gotta go to my room, and the kid tries the same line. I got
Yeah,
a lot of work, homework backed up. Yeah.
yeah. This is definitely not. This book is definitely not Elf. Um, it's
Yeah,
the
I
check
know it's not Elf. It was
polar
sci-fi.
opposite. No, no, this is psychological
Oh,
thriller. So if you like the series You, which was also a Netflix series, I forget the guy's name, but if you like that, you know, Caroline Kipnis is one of my favorite fiction writers. So is Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote Fight Club and Invention of Sound and Choke. Those are some of his best works. Survivor is another really good one. Um, I'm sort of a fanboy. Some people are crazy about pop stars. Some people are crazy about movie stars. Some people are crazy about football players like the Cowboys or the Texans. I
I'm sorry. I'm like shaking my head no.
I'm a fanboy for Chuck Palahniuk and David Goggins. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. I don't know who they are. I'm like, okay, yeah.
yeah.
I was just thinking football in my head. You said Cowboys. Everybody loves, I live in Texas. I should be a Cowboys fan, but I'm just not.
You live in Dallas. That's crazy.
I grew up for 6 years in New Jersey,
Okay. Now,
and
are
I
y'all
had
Jets or Giants
family in
fans?
Philadelphia.
Oh,
Ooh, what
oh.
does that make me? Ooh, oh no. Fly, eagles, fly.
Ah,
I'm not
okay.
scared. When I moved to Texas, they go, the one thing you never say is say you're Eagles fan. I'm like, I don't care. I was like, I am an Eagles fan. There's Eagles bars out here, that people. I was dancing with the Eagles mascot head on, and I have it on my TikTok, so I'm fine.
Okay, wait. They have Eagles bars in Dallas?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Get
So
out.
I'll drop the name Austin Avenue, Plano. They have an Eagles big group. It's called the Eagles Nest.
That is so random. Okay, because I thought the Cowboys' main rival was the who is what are they now? The Commanders? They used to
Oh,
be.
that's not their main rival. It's the Eagles always.
Oh, it has been. Okay. I mean, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
not know. I also haven't watched, I've watched my first football game yesterday by default because my family had it on. Watched my first football game since I don't remember when. I grew up playing football, loved the NFL, and then over the past 5 years, just
And
never,
yeah,
yeah, got into other
yeah.
things.
Well, my 11-year-old loves football. He's really good at it. So I became football mom this year. So that was fun.
Hmm.
That was exciting. And
What's your favorite part about being a football mom?
sitting there, not having to play,
Not having to play.
organizing the, fun events part of it. But if a kid gets hurt, I'm there with ice or Band-Aid or whatever. So, I mean, that was basically my job and saying, get back out there and give it your all. Or, one kid kept coming to me wanting to talk, and I go, they're going to yell at you. Get away from me. Go out there. Like, I had to be strict.
Yeah.
But they had respect for me. And it was funny because if I wasn't there, they would be like, where's football mom? She needs to be here. I mean, I would tell them I can run faster than them. And they would all say, okay, run. I go, not today. I'm not feeling.
Yeah.
But it's just fun giving them positive vibes, no negative energy because I don't want to see that on the field. So,
And mm, that's sort of a tall order because
eh.
Texas football is
Hmm.
it's a big deal. I don't know how it is in Jersey where you grew up, but my goodness gracious, they are serious. And sometimes I think, why are we projecting what we could not be onto our kids? And
Yeah.
that goes beyond football. I think I see it a lot more with baseball, um, but football as well.
Yeah.
Football parents and baseball parents are, I hate to
They're awesome.
overgeneralize, but awesome if it were opposite day about like how nasty they can get. I mean, just nasty. Just, like you've seen the viral videos. My
Ah.
daughter grew up playing running cross country, and you never
Uh-huh.
saw a helicopter parent go in there and you know start being crazy. But
Well,
I don't know.
I had to do a podcast of something that happened on the field, and it was called Truth. And it was because when we wrote to the commissioner people for the league, they were not replying to the coaches. So I did a podcast.
Hmm.
And on the field, the kids looked older, not in the same age range, but they were all the same range. But our kids got cremated. One kid broke his leg, I think, in maybe two different places that he can't play again. And that coach, I'm going to call him a Karen. He ran across the field yelling, but he wasn't yelling at the coaches. He was yelling at the coaches, the two other coaches, their wives. It
Hmm.
was just stupid. It was so much drama. I hated it. You see all the kids crying. Another kid got a concussion that game. Another kid got a sprained wrist, and we forfeit. But we got called the bad team for forfeiting, and we're a bunch of what. But you know
Yeah.
what? Mm-mm. It's showing the kids not to be angry and running across the field and yelling at other parents and having all that drama. That was craziness. But anyways, I cried in that podcast as I did it. because it was too real. It was seeing the ambulance come to the last field and take it the kids. The kids did not know what to think. The coaches were worried about their wives. And then the parents, some of the parents were out on the field. And I just kept saying to the kid who got hurt, it's going to be okay. And I was just trying to rest and look at the other kids. You guys are going to be okay. Just breathe. It's going to be fine. But it was hard. It was traumatic. It stinks. And that's sports in Texas. Yes. Did I put you to sleep?
No, for better or worse. I mean, uh, I've got two daughters, so I never had to worry about Little League football.
Well, that's good.
Although,
I mean,
yeah,
girls can play.
yeah. Well, I'm glad that they're out of the two of them. I'm glad that the one who I thought would be the type,
Hmm.
"Dad, I want to play with the boys," because she did kickboxing and did really good at it for a hot minute. I was like, man, she ends up wanting to be a football player. I don't know. Because even if I had a son, I would not let him play. There's just been too much, and part of the reason why I don't really partake in the NFL and enjoying the games the way I used to is because I've just read too much about how they treat the players afterward, and the thing with Junior
Hmm.
Seau. This is going to turn really serious, but the thing with Junior Seau years ago really sort of just made me change my whole perspective on the game. And I
Yeah.
remember being a young adult having anger management issues and learning about the brain development of a young person and how the prefrontal cortex isn't done developing. It's not finished developing until
Hmm.
you're in your mid 20s, and you've got boys who are as young as 8 that are banging their heads, and you talking about a kid with a concussion. That's not good. It's just not good
I
for an
know.
undeveloped brain. And it's just yeah, I'm glad I never had to deal with it. And
At
I
least you're
don't.
honest here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would be the hypocrite dad if I had a son that would be like, "Hey, I want to play football." And I would
Yeah.
tell,
Yeah.
actually, no. Here, you know what? Let's look up YouTube and look up Dr. Daniel Amen, and let's see some brain scans of people who have had their head bashed in, and then we'll make the decision together, son, about whether or not you think that this is a good path for you. Especially considering the fact that you've got a 0.0000001% chance of ever playing in the NFL, much less college.
Well, here, I'll make fun of me right now. Just not only sports like that. Hey, I was setting up for my podcast the other night. It was happened like 3 weeks ago. And I was just using my bedroom at the time, but my laptop bag was there by the wall. And I was like, okay, I think I have my Tylenol in there. And I went in. I
Oof.
forgot the wall was there. I got a concussion.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
doesn't take no sports. It's called podcasting rush.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I
man.
had to call those two podcasts off that night. I felt really bad about it, but I got sleep at 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Hmm.
But anyways, so tell us
Yeah.
more about you. You have your own podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
Yeah.
guys talk about on? It's called Speak Podcast. Am I saying it right?
Yeah. Speke Podcasting is the
Speak.
agency. Yeah, that is the
Okay.
agency which houses my show, Cruise Through HTX, which tells the stories of Houstonians, entrepreneurs, individuals, businesses, and organizations. So I've talked to everybody from a world record breaking power lifter to the lead producer for the Houston Ballet Nutcracker production and everybody in between. I, through my agency, also help clients with shows like Let's Talk About Your Breasts, which is a podcast that's put on by The Rose, which is a breast center of excellence. They help women throughout Southeast Texas get free mammograms and screenings, whether it's on site
Mhm.
or through their mobile coaches. And then we have the National Museum of Funeral History's podcast, which is called The Final Curtain Never Closes. And that's their
Oh, wow.
monthly podcast series, which is fun. And that's a very interesting place. So if you're ever in the Houston area, go out to North Houston and visit the museum.
I was right next to it. I was in Seabrook this year, I think.
Okay, Seabrook is about 45 minutes away.
Okay, never mind. I wasn't close to it then. I always get lost in
Yeah.
Houston going there. When you turn on the I I always get thrown off, and then I'm like driving in Houston going, how do I get back on the highway? But when I went down to Seabrook, it was like right in the middle. I mean, I know it's by Kima and
Mhm.
everything, and
Yeah,
that has changed.
it
I went
has.
by myself, but I didn't stay long. I was kind of, I don't
How,
know. Kima
how'd you
has
like?
changed.
How did you like it? I guess changed not for the
Mm,
good.
mm.
Yeah.
I just, you got some rides out there. I mean, when I grew up in Jersey and as a young kid being on the boardwalk, it was like miniature putt-putt golf and candy stores and pizza and this and that and that. And there was always something clothing. And you had actors, jugglers out there, and kids were all over, the beach, and you see crabs and there's sand. I mean, I had the most beautiful memory. And then I went to Kima many years ago, and they did have a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And I was happy. This year I went and I was like, I'm done. I paid like $15 to park, and I'm done walking, and there's not many shops. I don't know.
It could have been the
But
pandemic which put it through the ringer.
maybe,
I haven't been in a while. I do have a client who takes cancer kids on yacht rides, and we go through Kima. And I remember being on the call with him. We in one of our preliminary meetings, we were on his boat, and it looked like maybe there was not very much activity. Of course, it was during the week, but um,
yeah,
I've always thought it was kind of a fun place. They do Halloween, they do really well.
they
Their
do.
haunted house is a lot of fun.
I bet. I bet.
I like haunted
So, I
houses.
mean,
You
I
like haunted
hate them.
houses? You hate
No,
them?
I hate them. I, I grew up with epilepsy, strobe lights
Mm.
and flashy lights
Oh,
for
okay.
me. No.
Okay.
And, haunted is haunted, and that crap is real in my book. So, no.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. It's about not in it's not it's about not inviting certain energies into your aura.
Oh, okay. So you can see my aura.
Do what?
You can see it. What color is it?
Your aura?
Yeah. Don't say yellow.
It's golden.
Okay. But no, no, I think the last scary movie in the theater that I ever saw was The Ring. That was it for
Hmm.
me.
Okay.
And then my daughter introduced to my son it. So my son was scared of my daughter when she was in 12th. She had the AirPods coming, and I picked her up that day, but I was by a curb. She opens the door, and I hear her, oh, I was like, what? And she goes, uh, the AirPods down the gutter, and my son's in the back going, "Go down there, it's gonna get you." I said, I don't even want it. If it's down there, it's already ruined. Don't
Hmm.
worry about it. But she did her due diligence, and she got me new ones when
Hmm.
she could afford it. But still, I was like, I'm never parking by a curb anymore for those two reasons. But okay, as much as I tell you I don't like scary, as a photographer, I went during the day. They have the old Alton Bridge here. and they call it Goatman's Bridge. It's all over. Like you can watch any paranormal thing and watch the documentary. Goatman's Bridge. And it's ridiculous. So
Why do
I
they
took it a
call it Goat Man's Bridge?
because the guy got murdered on the, I don't know, something about his family got burnt down. He was mad. I think they killed him. I don't know the whole story, but he hangs out on the bridge and he's supposedly like some demon guy. And yeah.
Oh, dude, that looks wicked. There's no way that's real.
Okay.
There's no
Yeah,
way that's.
I was there. I got lost in the woods, and they have a live Ouija board built out there, and then they
Oh,
call
hell no.
this one tree the portal tree, and it's like split open, and people are going with their plates, like have names on it, and just and it's
Mm-mm,
all over the ground.
mm-mm.
But
Okay,
I
okay,
got
so
split up. I'm an
there's
explorer.
a
I get
there's apparently another goat man in Maryland. So I just did
oh,
I
I'm
did
sure they're yeah.
yeah, I did a search for Goat Man's Bridge location and it pulled up um, both the Dallas. You said Alton Bridge?
It's like Denton area, I think. Old Altman Bridge or something,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah,
call
there
it
it is.
Goatman's Bridge.
Yeah.
And I guess some of the cars that drive down the street, either they're honk or lights, or I don't know what they do, but I don't know. But it's supposedly the demon doesn't like women. And my son goes, "Can we go out there at nighttime and you bring your camera?" And I'm like, no, I was like, I'm not going out there. It doesn't like women.
Oh,
I'm a photographer.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so here is the story per Wikipedia. It says the belief. Okay, so it's haunted by a half man, half goat figure called Goat Man. The
Uh-huh.
belief is based on the legend of a black goat farmer named Oscar Washburn, who was said to have moved his family to a residence just north of the bridge. A few years later, Washburn, having become known as a dependable and honest businessman and dubbed the Goat Man by locals, displayed a sign on Alton Bridge reading, "This way to the Goat Man." But the success of a black man was still unwelcome to many, and in August 1938, Klansmen in the local government crossed the bridge and kidnapped Washburn from his family. They hung a noose on Old Alton Bridge and, after securing it around his neck, threw him over the side. When they looked down to see if he had died, the noose was empty. In a panic, they returned to his family home and oh my God, slaughtered his wife and children.
Yeah,
So there you go. Oh, that is
yeah.
horrible.
But the bridge is a hot spot. You, a lot of people, I heard a snake hissing and there was no snake, but yeah, it's just kind of creepy. Yeah.
Reports of visitors being touched, grabbed, and having rocks thrown at them. Oh
Thank
my.
God that didn't happen when I was there.
Strange lights are said to appear in the surrounding woods. All right, that's
Well,
enough for
there's a street. If there's a car going down, yeah, that doesn't
that's
make
enough for the
sense.
night.
Yeah, no more scary stories.
Wow, that's horrible. Hmm.
This is a good rating show, though. Talk scary shows.
Uh,
I was thrown off. My daughter wanted this shirt from Spencer's for Christmas, and I went in there and I was just waiting around looking, and I saw Chucky, and then what was it? Chucky's wife or girlfriend, Tilly, or whatever her name is. And
yeah,
then I see this weird looking boy or girl or whatever. I was like, I had talked to some stranger. What's that one? Oh, that's their kid. I was like, is there a movie already out on that? I mean, maybe I'm missing it, but I don't see no movies on that. So,
yeah.
and then stupid things like Open Water, I call it a scary movie.
Open
It's
water.
not
Never
like
heard of that
scary,
one.
scary. No, it's just being lost in the ocean. And yeah, it's a different kind of scary.
Okay. All right. Must be like a sort of psychological thriller. See, I'm big into that. I'll do that, but I won't. I'll do that. I'll do slasher gore horror, but I will not do I don't do the spiritual satanic crap. Because
No.
going back to the whole energy thing, if you believe in good, then
Energy.
obviously you believe in evil, because you believe evil exists. And so if you believe good exists, you believe evil exists, and by default, then that means um, that if I invite that energy into my being, then, not good things would happen. And I'm not really, there are certain things that I'm not willing to, certain lines that I'm not willing to tiptoe and dance around. And that's a kind of a hard stop. Even though I
Yeah.
have seen The Omen, I have seen The Exorcist, they didn't really bother me, but there are some really, and maybe it's because those were older movies, but now because of technology, they make it seem so real that I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Still not watching it.
I'm like, huh, yeah, yeah.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So when you're not watching all those scary things, what else do you do?
You know, I I work.
You
Podcasting
work.
is podcasting is my life. I love it.
Yeah.
My thing, your deal is helping people with their forever afters, right? And
Not really. I mean,
helping
it is. My
plan
niche
the
is the
beginning.
world right now.
Yeah.
So here's my background really quick. Yes, I'm a certified wedding planner, a photographer, ordained minister. I have tons of hospitality industry background in me. So I've been to the doctors too many times out of the year. And I have doctors and nurses. Can I be on your podcast? I want to talk about this. And then it's just, I needed something that says I want people to be heard. And it's not just anybody, it's not just the event industry. It could be, yeah, I'll talk to them and see if they want to interview in the hospitality and see if they want one. But where I'm finding the stories is people want to be heard
Hmm.
by what they've been through, which is important, and getting the word out there. It's healing for them, it's helping other people. I mean, as I sit here and I interview, I'm like, I actually am getting self-motivated by my own podcast I'm doing. And
Yeah.
it's I had one of the authors, she mailed me a book. Thank you so much, Daisy. But I've been sleeping with the book. I hate to admit that. I'll read it and then I'll put it down. And I'm just like, because I'm not much of a reader. And I always say this in my podcast. There's something about holding a book I don't like. I like Audible. Put my AirPods in, listen, don't have to hold anything, whatever.
Mhm.
But I have been reading her book and it's very good. And then there I started to journal again. And then I have people coming requesting stories from me about fentanyl. And I'm like, I'm not a reporter. Like, why? Oh, well, you can find somebody, find the hope of getting this out. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, how do I do that? But, I just don't know that I have that quality to go after stories.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
mind if they come to me, but that's great.
Yeah. And and keep excuse me. And in keeping with the theme of your show and keeping hope alive, eh, eh, you know, there there's one of the things I've learned over the past couple of years, Nadine, leaving corporate America, and it doesn't even have to be just leaving the media or leaving
Yeah.
the corporate space. It could be leaving a medium or a large sized company that's not a corporation or even a small business that you've been a part of for more than 10 years. And so it sort of becomes your identity. And
Hmm.
and if you, for anyone listening who might be of our age in their 40s, it can be daunting because if you spent the better part of your 30s when you were in your prime or what society likes to project onto us as we
Yep.
were in our prime earning years, and I'm like, to hell with that. I'm 48
Yep.
pushing 50. I'm turning 50 in 49 in 2024. and I've got plenty of gas left in the tank, baby. I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting until I'm at least 100.
Yeah.
And even then, I might not quit. I'll probably, I'll probably die during recording a podcast episode. But anyways, uh, there,
Me too.
there,
Okay.
yeah, it's not too late to start over. And when you sort of rip the band-aid off of a career that you once enjoyed and is starting to not be fun because the people you work for are making it not fun and they're trying to project their version of what you're worth onto you, you have to understand that that's just one corporation, one company's, one employer's, one manager's opinion. And we live in a world of over 8 billion people. And it's a big world out there, and there's an
Hmm.
ocean of possibilities. And your experience over the past 10 years, it can it could be a blip on the radar in the story
Yeah.
of your life, and it can just be one chapter. Some chapters are ones of defeat, others are victory, and you know what? It'd be boring. It'd be boring if all we did was win, and if everything went our way. Honestly,
Exactly.
with the podcast agency, I'm sort of falling into different opportunities, and for everything that goes right, there have been dozens of things that don't go right,
Hmm.
emails that don't get answered, pitching direct mail campaigns that, oh, I guess that was a waste of money and time. Um, Trade shows where you think that you might have, I was like, oh, yes, I met somebody and they're like super interested in the agency, and then crickets. Um, but then there,
You see, yes, that's what I wanted to hear
yeah,
because, that is one thing being in the event industry. You put your money out through all those sourcing and the trade shows. I see networking meetings going out there. I mean, I wonder how many they actually get as new sign-ins and stuff like that. But it just seems, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. I feel like if I were to have a booth for Keep Hope Alive out there, oh, it's nice to learn about you. Take your card, boom, gone.
yeah.
We want to make staples in this industry, something to remember by. If you watch my show, great. I'm happy, but I'm not going to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars for it to go out. So,
Hmm.
anyways,
Yeah, but it's they're all lessons learned, and
yep,
some people are into it, and I think I've just gotten so used to things that don't go right. So to give you a little more
yeah,
background on
hmm,
my career, when I left radio, I had made the decision in early November of 2021 and still fulfilled my contractual obligation. So I was legally bound to work for my employer through the end of the year. And so I told my wife, "Oh yeah, I'm, I'm good. I'll find a job." I mean, look, I played a part in helping this radio station win 2 Marconi Awards. This is an award named after the guy who invented the freaking radio. There's no way I won't find a job. Well, guess who never found a job? 400 applications, 55 flat out rejections, a handful of interviews that just did not work out right. And I'm like, okay, God, I think you're telling me that I might need to go into business for myself. And so I looked at myself in the mirror. You're hired. Nobody else will hire you. You, my man, you're hired.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly what just recently happened a week ago. They eliminated my position where I was working, and they're nice people, loved where I was working, but it was sad. And then I was doing a podcast, and before, of course, hit and record, I was like, I'm sorry, I just got some news. I'm a little wiped out. And she's like, what's wrong, honey? And I was like, well, I don't think I'm gonna have a job anymore. And she goes, that's a good thing. And I was like looking at what a good thing. What you're doing now with the podcast, you're helping everybody around the world. This is your calling. And with her saying that, it's made the transition a lot easier.
Mhm.
And I want to do this full time. I'm motivated to do it. It's just, I'm one of those creative minds. I can't sleep at night, so they have to give me sleeping medicine. But if not, I'm going to have everything planned out. We're going to go this direction this day and this day and this day. And then
Mhm.
I think it's funny that you'll see on Facebook the ads like, planners organize this and this. I go, I just papers and sticky notes everywhere. I'm fine.
Yeah,
I don't know. But
no,
when you know it's your calling, it is your calling. So,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
that's good that you were in radio too. I mean, that sounds fun. I've always wanted to do something like that in my past. So this
Yeah,
comes close
well,
to
it's not what it used to be, and that's all I'll say about that. And the
yeah.
more the more communications uh, the more the communications industry gets decentralized, the more it's going to
Yeah.
change for the worse. I
Mhm.
actually think, and I've been told this by numerous people, both inside and outside of the radio business, is that I got out while it was still good. And, I left on my own accord, um, not really thinking about that and more so thinking, well, yeah, I'm not going to take a pay cut. You guys aren't going to kneecap.
Yeah.
You're not going to kneecap me when you would add duties and then be like, oh, well, we're not going to pay you more. But you're going to like,
Hmm.
it's not, you're trying to impose your version of what I'm worth onto me. And I'm not, and I reject that wholeheartedly. And I'll be a professional
Yeah.
about it. Um, but yeah, it's only going to change for the worse as AI continues to take over
Thank you. Thank
and
you. Thank
and
you. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean there are a lot of people who are in denial about it, and you could either see the good in it, I think there are three ways to go about it when it comes to this. You can look at AI as the best thing since sliced bread, which means you would be overly dependent on it. You could see it as the worst thing that humanity has ever created, and the robots are going to take over, and Elon Musk is going to run the world. That's also bad. Or you can see it as a tool, no different than a car, no different than a car. Um, that's you're using to get from point A to point B. So, I'm sure when the first bread delivery truck was, whoever had that idea first, I'm sure that there are a lot of bread makers saying, "Oh, that's not fair. They're using this. It's an unfair advantage." You know what I mean? So there are
Yeah.
people like us who are using AI as a tool that can help us with productivity, and we're not over reliant on it. It's just that
Yeah.
it's helping us to be better creators and to actually think about what we're inputting and what it is we're trying to get out of how we're using it. Um, and I think it's only the beginning. It's
It
really only
is the beginning.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean, I had this weird sense a couple weeks ago as a AI, and I got on Google AI marketing, and it just felt like AI wanted to take over marketing positions now. Like, okay, but they're not human people running the show. It's about connections and networking with people also and talking and building the brand. What can this AI robot do that I can't do? Is the AI robot going to have like real skin and come as a beautiful person to come meet you? I mean, I have so many things. And now they're trying to make a buck off of it for classes in colleges, courses on how to use AI.
Yeah.
I have no comment on that.
Okay.
I didn't train myself to be a photographer. I learned, I had a mentor and I learned, but I didn't pay thousands of dollars to do it. So, but definitely. So, well, I know you've been with me for a long time on this podcast. So, other than that, you got to talk about your podcast and what you're doing and everything. Was there anything that I missed bringing up?
You missed absolutely nothing, and I would just advise people that as we head into 2024, at the time of this recording, it is the end of December. So if this is in January, let's also say this year, um, just take everything in stride. When something doesn't go your way or the way you had anticipated, just know that it's not the end of the world, and every single loss is going to lead you to the next win. So the more you lose, the quicker you will eventually get the one thing that you want. But at the end of the day, do we really want that one thing? Because once we do get that one thing, then what? Then it's off to the chase. So really, it's all about enjoying the journey and learning how to fall in love with failing. And that doesn't mean that you can't get butt hurt, but just compartmentalize it. Something doesn't go your way. Maybe you lose a bid for a client. Maybe you get offered a pay cut like I did, or maybe like Nadine, she gets let go. And you hear the two of us talking, and where we wake up in the morning, there's another day to fight. And so as long as you have another day to fight, you stay in the game and you keep going. Because the moment you give up is the moment you will never realize your dream.
Yeah, yes, and don't give up. If like you said from me, I was let go of that position, but I have to refocus and I'm not gonna dwell on it. I don't want to look on the past of it. I'm gonna look into the future, into the beginning, and what I need to make a better me going into the next company. And you know what? It wasn't my calling to be there, I guess. And that's how I look at it as well. So just moving forward and being positive and strong is great. So I want to thank you so much for coming on today. And we had this awesome chat, Freddie.
Thank
I
you.
also quickly do what?
I said, no, I was just saying thank you.
Oh, thanks. I want to also thank really quick our other sponsors that made this show possible. And remember, if you have any questions for Freddie, you can call our number at 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673, I believe. And leave a message for him. He would love to answer any of your questions. And then let's get right to it. Lifeonrecord.com is one of our sponsors, our main one. That was the interactive guest book for your special events. Then we have bridalshowsinc.com. If you are having an event in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and looking for different vendors, they host about 5 trade shows throughout the year. So check their website. I think they have coming up at the end of January, the big one in Dallas. So check them out. Our next person is milesandSmilesEvents.com, Deborah Rose. And Deborah has an investigating background to her, but she does handwriting analysis and lipstick readings, and she's so accurate. She goes into these events and makes it a blast. So check her out. Then we have Bryce Harney. Bryce Harney is a magician, a mind mentalist. He's traveling all around the United States. He's been on, I think, every news station also. But he is phenomenal at what he does. Check him at brycemagic.com. We have richmondpunch.net. He graduated from the Juilliard, been playing the violin forever, and he's amazing. He's played in front of 1 million people. He's been on, I think, maybe 2 Lifetime shows playing the violin or something, but he's awesome. And then we have TK Hair Salon in Plano, Texas. They're one of the best. If you need good hair coloring, hairdo, check them out. TK Hair Salon in Plano. All right, well, that's all our sponsors. But thank you so much. And I hope you have a happy new year. And what great advice you gave everybody about going into the new year. And definitely that is a sound bite, you know that. So
Thank you.
no, you're welcome. Well, you guys have a great new year. And till our next show, you can find them on anywhere you find your podcast. And it's www.keephopealivepodcast.com. Thanks, guys. Mwah! Love and light.